and gentlemen, welcome to the Her Sport Awards. We look forward to an incredible night of celebrating the extraordinary achievements of Irish women in sport. Her Sport was founded to create change. 1 in 2 Irish girls will have dropped out of sport by the age of 20. Reports show that less than 10% of sports media coverage goes to women's sport. Every day, we hear stories where girls and women are not afforded the same opportunities as their male counterparts or the same respect. This is not good enough. Our vision is equal opportunity in sport regardless of gender. Girls and women should feel welcome in sport, no matter the role that they play. As we enter 2024, we are even more determined than ever. This is the 3rd live celebration of the Her Sport Awards, and it's an honour to be here tonight to have a full house. This shows the great commitment and enthusiasm from all of you that are here tonight, from our growing community of over 200,000 people who are truly showing up for women in sport. The Her Sport Awards is proudly supported by Energia, Sky, Braeburn Coffee, Whoop and Aya. This partnership makes tonight possible. We are truly grateful for the support of TG Carter, who brings the show to all of those at home, as well as our host UCD, who might have to bring in even more seats next year. Tonight, we honour the women who made 2023 a year to remember. We celebrate the incredible promise that lies ahead. Remember the names, follow the journeys, and relish the excitement that is to come. The next few years promise an exhilarating chapter in the world of women's sport. With the Irish and Paralympic Games on the horizon, World and European Championships, the stage is set for a new wave of sporting brilliance. Let's kick off the awards. Please join me in welcoming our magnificent MC, Maura Trasa-Nigul.
Gur míle mágad níomh agus tá iontas sásta a bheith anseo inneo agus a bheith a measc na mrá speisialta seo atá anam nia agus bhfuil éachtaí de chétí baint amach acu in nán an sport sa mbliain fiche trí. As Niamh said, it was another outstanding year for Irish sport, and once again our female athlete shone on the biggest stage. And tonight is about honouring them and celebrating their achievements. 6 awards will be presented here tonight, and just a reminder that all of the winners of tonight's awards have been chosen by you. We'll kick things off with our first award, the Her Sport Award for Team of the Year, sponsored by Sky. And here are our nominees.
After years of effort, dedication and resilience, the team made history in 2023, qualifying for their first ever Olympic Games. The winner of the Her Sport Team of the Year, sponsored by Sky, is of course the Irish Rugby Sevens. While there were requests from Amy, Lee and Stacey earlier in the year to consult in selecting the date for the Her Sport Awards, duty calls and the team are away in Perth this weekend, having already qualified for the semi-finals. But we are delighted to have with us here tonight Anna McGann and Cathy Baker, who will accept the award on behalf of the team.
So, tá sé ionach go bhfuil Cathy Baker agus Anna McGann takeí chun fadalum inis. Congratulations, girls. As Niamh said there, you created history last year by becoming the first Irish women's rugby team to qualify for the Olympic Games. That must have been a dream come true, and still a dream come true, Anna.
Yeah, no, it was probably like the most incredible moment of our life so far. It's been a long journey for a lot of us. For like the likes of myself and Cathy, who've been in the programme for 8 years. We unfortunately didn't qualify in 2019, so it was a goal that we definitely wanted to achieve. And for the likes of Lucy and Stacey, like the veterans of the team, it was their 3rd time going. So it was everything to us. Like, it's been 10 years in the making. So to actually qualify and to have done it earlier than we actually expected to was just incredible.
You were the first Irish rugby team to qualify through automatic qualification. That must have been really special. And as Anna said there, Kathy, this success didn't happen overnight. It was a long time coming, and a lot of hard work and dedication went into getting you to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. We had like so many dreams, and it was really building through many years of work. And then a goal of ours was actually to qualify through the World Series, and then there was always a backdoor into qualifying. But it was just an absolute dream come true to actually qualify through our first goal, and it was the toughest way to do it. So we were all very proud that we were able to do it.
Yeah, you beat Fiji, finishing 5th. Tell me about that moment when the final whistle went.
Oh, it was just like no words can describe it, because the build-up, even the day before, like nobody slept that night. No. Do you know, it's all about recovery and sleep. We were all wide awake at like 4 a.m. being like, oh my God, we have the opportunity to
It was
qualify.
like the one time we didn't really share our emotions. Yeah. Everyone just sat and was like, we're all fine, everything's fine. we weren't fine.
But when the whistle went and we knew we'd actually done it, it was, I think we replay it like every day. It was the most amazing feeling in the world to know that we'd actually done it, and done it so early as well. We were just like, this is unbelievable.
You must have had that belief, though, to have gotten to that point and to be so close that you would go all the way.
We did a lot of work with a sports psychologist, Siobhan McArdle, actually, because I think just genetically as Irish people, we're all just modest. So I think we actually needed to step out of our comfort zone and actually be like, no, we can do this.
Yeah, own it.
Yeah, so I think it actually took a lot of work, and I think we're still actually on our journey of believing that we are the team that we are. But I think like qualifying for the Olympics really helped that, and it was like, no, we're damn good.
Absolutely, they are damn good. On a personal level now, what does it feel like knowing that you're going to be competing on the biggest stage at the Olympics?
I mean, initially kind of a scary thought, but at the same time, you know, to us, like, it is another tournament, and we do compete with these teams on a monthly basis. Like the girls over in Perth at the moment, they're through to a semi-final tomorrow morning, if y'all want to watch it, 4:30 a.m.
4 a.m.
But, you know, like, we are up there with the best in the world, and we can do it. So for us to be able to qualify so early and have the year to build into the Olympics was amazing, because it gives us the opportunity to build into that tournament and to like do really well. And like the girls going into the semi-final this time tomorrow, we haven't done that since Sydney last year. So it's a really nice builder into it, but we also know that we kind of have the confidence that we compete with these teams all the time anyways. So it's kind of bringing it back to, it is just another tournament, and trying to forget about the fact that it's the Olympics.
Have you gotten the tattoos yet?
No, but actually...
The Olympic rings?
We haven't got the Olympic rings, but we did have this... Our psychologist, Siobhan, did a load of work with us, and she kind of came up with this theory that, you know, it's a beehive, and we're all in the hive, and we kind of ignore the external things outside of it. So
and it was
when we qualified...
You'd be covered in ink.
Yeah. When we qualified, we said we'd all get bee tattoos, and you see
true to
our
our word,
around, we've bee tattoos.
We've all got a bee.
I love it. The sevens traditionally don't get the same traction as the 15s game, but have you felt this surge of support since qualifying?
I feel like it massively came from our families, because they all knew what we were putting into and like how big the year was, like building up into the Olympics. So it really came from family and friends. And now I think it's starting to catch on with like external people, and I hope that it keeps spreading, because sevens is such an easy sport to get behind, because as a nation we're so into rugby. So sevens is even easier to watch because it's 14 minutes. So like
in the sunshine.
You're never going to lose attention. Like, and they're even now filling the halftime, which is actually only 90 seconds. Can you believe? They're now filling that with entertainment as well, just so like you cannot look away from the screen. And like I feel like that's such an easy thing to actually like get people to come and watch and get behind. And if you ever have an excuse to travel the world, come and follow the sevens. Like it's the best way to do it. Like.
An open invitation right there.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a really close-knit group the Sevens circuit because you spend so much time together travelling, and having spoken to travelling teams or, you know, rugby teams that travel throughout the year, they always speak about that bonding experience of being on the road, but you practically live on the road all year round. So how important is that you have that bond and that you are gelling? How does that translate to your game on the field?
Yeah, like our culture is everything to us, but it hasn't come easy. Like we've done a lot of work, especially with our psychologist Siobhan in the last 2-3 years, that our culture is kind of everything, and it's what drives us on the pitch. So if we work on that connection off the pitch, it will naturally come on the pitch. I think like our captain Lucy is just an embodiment of like our culture and everything we want to be. So when we have a leader like that who is kind of showing us the ropes on a daily basis, it's quite easy. Yeah.
A lot of players move from 15s to 7s as opposed to starting in 7s. Talk to me about how it happened for you, Anna, and what made you choose 7s?
Well, for me, initially, I actually started in 7s. I got scouted through Stan McDowell at the time, and it kind of, 7s was my entry into rugby. I wasn't a rugby player before that.
She played hockey.
I did. But yeah, so like it kind of, I was 7s initially, and thankfully I've had amazing opportunities over the last 2-3 years to play 15s and play in Six Nations. And it's kind of just, it's the love of rugby that when you get into like 7s and knowing rugby that you just kind of want that little bit more. So it's amazing that at the moment we can actually have players that cross over into 7s and 15s. If you look at like Eve Higgins and Baven and Aveen, they were in Dubai with the 15s and now they're back with us in the 7s.
They just love travelling.
They literally just love it. They don't want to be at home. But it is amazing that we have players that are able to do that, and that's only possible because we have 2 amazing programs that work side by side, and coaches that are willing to give players to the other team when they want to. So no, it is amazing, and very grateful that I got the opportunity to play 7s, because main focus for us this year and coming into the Olympics is to grow the sport of 7s in the country, because we are a rugby nation and we love 15s, but 7s is incredible, and we kind of just want to show that as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant to have the spotlight of the Olympics. Now,
Yeah.
Kathy, for you, you played a lot of sports growing up and you made your 7s debut in 2018, am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
What drew you into the game?
So actually one of my friends started me off. I was also a hockey player, played every other sport in school but never rugby. And then just one day was dragged to a training session and never looked back. Just loved the physicality, and like it really is just a sport for everyone. So I just thought like this is a sport I can get behind. So I really enjoyed it from day one.
What do you like about being a professional athlete, and would you recommend it to young girls and boys out there that are watching tonight?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything you dream of
It's
as
kind
a
of your
kid. Like,
dream. It's your dream job, because like if you think about jobs out there, I would not like to sit behind an office personally. So this was an absolute easy option. Go and play outside every single day, run around, and we're so fortunate that we're in a sport that we actually get paid to do what we love doing every day. So I just like can't imagine better sport.
It's amazing, like, and especially at the moment when we can actually show younger girls that this is a possibility. For some of us like our age, like we didn't start playing rugby until about 18, but for younger girls, knowing that like the 7s and the 15s fully professional program is an option and is something you can do as a fully professional is just amazing that we can actually show that now.
And what is the goal for the Olympics? What is your goal for 2024?
We're going to come home with a medal.
Yeah,
We want to come home
we're
with
not
a
just
medal.
there to show off.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. Congratulations again, Kathy and Anna, and the 7s Irish Rugby Team, Team of the Year, Bulbus Morrow.
The Personality of the Year award recognises athletes that demonstrate inspiration, determination and/or resilience. This person will have inspired beyond the sporting arena, achieved in spite of the odds in a personal and/or sporting capacity. AYA are proud to support this award, epitomising living the AYA way, supporting a healthy lifestyle no matter what life throws at you. On this list, we have the only Irish woman that has ever qualified for 5 Olympic Games, people that are driving change and embrace new challenges, that have battled illness or loss, as well as the only woman to have run every Dublin Marathon. I truly encourage you to learn more about these amazing women on hersport.ie. Put your hands together for the nominees for Personality of the Year. And the winner of Personality of the Year, sponsored by Aya, is Sarah Lavin. Sarah Lavin has overcome many injuries and challenges in her career, and in recent years it seemed like everything was finally coming together for her on the track. Her great determination and hard work saw her excel and become a force to be reckoned with on the international stage. It's no secret that Sarah has been chasing Derval O'Rourke's record for years. 2023 was an incredible year on the track, but an incredibly difficult year off the track. Sarah tragically lost her partner, rally driver Craig Breen, in April last year in a fatal crash. While dealing with the great personal loss, Sarah returned to the track with undeniable strength. In August, Sarah finally broke that record as she set a national hurdles record she'd been chasing for years, and shortly followed by breaking the national 100-metre record. Unfortunately, Sarah can't be here with us tonight as she's racing in Kazakhstan, off to a good start with a new personal best this morning. We caught up with her earlier this week to hear her reaction in winning Her Sport Personality of the Year, sponsored by Aya.
Sarah Lavin, Her Sport Personality of the Year, sponsored by Aya. Winner for 2023. Immediate reaction?
Oh, just thank you so much to everyone. So proud and honoured. I think particularly like this year, Irish sports women were so amazing and fantastic, and there was so many incredible stories. So thank you.
It seems like every year at this stage we're saying it's been the best year ever for women's sport.
Yeah.
And this year, as you say, on another level again. The Personality of the Year recognised athletes that demonstrate inspiration, resilience, determination. You've done that in spades this year.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
How would you reflect on the year overall? Because obviously on the track, incredible season, and then a tough year off of it. So how would you reflect on it overall, do you think?
Incredibly difficult, and even now, day to day, there's nothing. Everything I think is slightly is there's a dullness to it, I guess. I miss Craig incredibly, but I do feel there is definitely something magic and the warmth, and I know how that he would want me to live my life to the fullest and follow my dreams, and I'm doing my very best to finally get that record this year. Derval held it for 13 years. There are 13 years to the day between us, and I think that, and it was the way that happens. It's strange, like some kind of cosmic coincidence. It really, really proud, and to follow it up with the 100-metre record at the end of the season was nice. I guess I chased the hurdles one my whole life. That was really the first time I ran the 100 metres outside of, say, nationals, where we kind of always have headwinds or cold Irish weather. So I was away. It was at the end of the season. Kind of rang my coach. He was like, "Oh, I think there's a lane. Will I see?" Didn't want to pick up an injury or anything, and see how we felt on the day, and just jumped in. So yeah, it was kind of a nice icing on the cake to the season on the track, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say unbelievable season on the track, and finding the strength to go out and achieve all of that, it's absolutely phenomenal. Did you find then that your racing was kind of a nice outlet and a break away from everything?
Yeah, I guess there's I'm running since I'm 7. It's the one thing I know how to do. Something I know how to do well. I'm very fortunate to have the people in my life that are in my life. So my coach, Noelle, I really owe her so much, not just this year. every year. But I think particularly her friendship and her love and her support, nobody could replace that. No, and given that she's a pretty spectacular coach too. So I'm very, very grateful to have my family then on top of that. You know, tuning in at all hours. My sister's in Sydney, and you know, herself and her friends they're tuning in to watch races all over Europe, and my brother and obviously Craig's family means so much to me. That yeah, I guess I've so much love in my life that I'm so grateful, and I love them so much, and I just want to continue. So many people have given me a path to follow and chase my dreams, and I want to do all those people proud, and I give thanks to how much effort they've put into me, because it's so appreciated, and I couldn't do it without everyone, you know.
As you mentioned, one of the dreams that you did go on to achieve this year was breaking Derval's record. What was your immediate thought process when you did it? Because even watching the interviews afterwards, it's just pure elation.
Relief. I was like, finally, because it was hanging over me. I was like, oh, if I don't do it now. And I think my coach's brother texted her the morning of that race. I was like, don't come home with it, the national record. So she was gunning for it. Noelle was gunning for it. We all knew it was go time. If it was going to happen, it had to happen that day. It's like around 12:67, 2 weeks out, and the record was 65. And I could kind of after I finished the 67, I was like, oh, that was good. Like I was waiting to see what was going on the clock. And then 67 came up. I was like, oh, we'll try. And then the heats around 69. And then so to finally get the 62, yeah, it was far from the perfect race, but relief, I guess, because yeah, it was something on your back, you know. You're not, you know, it was never my dream to be the second best. Like that was you don't dream of that. So as grateful as I was to be able to put out those good performances like the 67 and 69, I was like, I just need to go another little step further. And I guess now that that's done, it opens up a whole other realm of a whole other world of right. Join 10th at the World Championships. We top 8 make the Olympic final. We've never had a female sprinter across the 1, the 2, the 400 hurdles or 400 hurdles in an Olympic final, and yeah, to do that would be absolutely incredibly special. It would be historic. And looking at Rashida, she was absolutely on fire at the weekend, and I think, you know, of course she's every chance of medaling at the Olympics as much as anybody else. So I think I think we're in a really special era for track and field. People love to follow track and field. It's really easy. Nobody goes through life without having raced somebody, even if it's to the car, if it's to the bus, if it's in the yard. So everyone has a baseline of, you know, if you're good at it or not. So yeah, it's a start, it's a stop. There's no understanding. It's first to cross the line. So if we have Irish people that are doing well, I think that was one thing that I was shell-shocked by, was the support that was out in Budapest. It was really incredible.
Especially considering Derval O'Rourke, like she's a role model to so many, and I'm sure including yourself as well. It must have been, I'd say, that target for so long you're trying to get towards, and then when you do it, just amazing.
Yeah, it was special. And I was telling you just before this that I remember sitting on the bank here in UL watching Derval train with her coach Terry and Sean Cahill, and with my dad, and I was saying, Dad, like, I'm not even sure does Derval remember this, but I remember being like, Dad, can we ask for a photo? And obviously at 10 you don't have any concept of like the appropriateness of when you should approach somebody, and definitely not in the middle of a session and definitely not in the middle of a hurdle session when there's already you're thinking so much. So I'm pretty sure Dad went over and asked for a photograph, and so she was like, absolutely no problem, can you just wait till I finish? And we were like, oh, what have we done? Because it took that. But yeah, I think, of course, that was, we have a world champion, to have a world champion in your event, in your sport, is amazing. Like Derval was world indoor champion in the 60 hurdles. Her 7:84 indoors is phenomenally quick. And to have, you know, she finished 4th at the World Championships, and she won so many European medals that, yeah, of course, that was a really high standard of a national record that she had set, and to eventually get your hands on that, yeah, it was And nice. Now we just got to make it really, really hard for the next the next person going through.
You took the question right out of my mouth. So you mentioned 13 years between yourself and Derval. 13 years time, I wonder will it be broken in between?
No, or will it even last 13 years? I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to, at this year we'll have to give it a good go to see how tough we'll make it. I reckon a 1250, sub 1250 will be required to make the Olympic final. To do it in Paris, you know, it would be incredibly special. It's so close. So I'm meeting people at the track almost every weekend and families, and they're saying, "Oh, we're going heading out. We've got the kids' tickets," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And the cost of it, because it is so expensive. So like that's so special to think that people are just. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for people to bring their families and to bring their kids to see an Olympics, even if they're not even getting into the stadium, but just to be around there and soak up the atmosphere. And to think that you have that qualifying and yeah, you're going in there with a real shot of being competitive. Doing everything I can and I just hope, can perform to the best of, you know, what my potential is.
After those amazing races last year, then it's probably just about trying to bottle that form, I guess, and bring it into the season now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is trying to stay healthy and injury free. Sport is incredibly humbling at every given moment, and every sports person knows that. So don't take any day or any session for granted. When you've had a really good session, I've learned that, you hold on to that and appreciate that because, it's incredibly humbling. But I think Noelle, I'm very fortunate. Noelle knows what works for me. I know it works for me, and good people around me that can keep the focus. And ultimately, as much as it is the biggest sporting spectacle in the world, it does come only every 4 years, 3 years in this case, but it is something that everybody tunes into, and there is extra kind of, I don't know, a showbiz about it. And it is yet another championship. So we also have World Indoors in March. We have European Championships in June. And then the 7th of August, the hurdles round 1 starts. So as an athlete, you're just almost, it's a process. You're not even there yet. You have to go to the whole 2 other championships before you get there. And you want to perform well at them. So we know what we're working on. I guess my start definitely is an area we're looking to make more consistent. So hopefully during the indoor season, it's only 5 hurdles indoors, whereas there's 10 outdoors. So it's really a totally different event, all about the start indoors. Now it kind of is outdoors too, but there really is no time to recover indoors. So I think my goal for the indoors would be just if I can leave the indoor season knowing, I've become really consistently good starter, I think I'd be quite happy.
With Paris on the horizon then, as you touched on, do you thrive on all that hype, or how do you feel under the pressure?
I don't really feel it, to be honest. I think there's enough things in life that are real pressure. As a sports person, I think when you become aware of what real life pressures are, they kind of everything gets into perspective. But I love the excitement. I feel it off everybody else. I love everyone else's excitement, and I guess I don't really see the negative when you see something as exciting and the joy, and it's bringing other people and people around you, and the planning and people looking for flights and accommodation and friends asking where are tickets on sale yet, and you're like, oh, tickets are long gone. But that they I guess the opportunity to actually to have people even just to be in Paris, to be amongst the hype and what it means to everybody, it's pretty cool, and it's something I'm really grateful for that to get to be a part of.
Well, Sarah, your story is phenomenal, your ability and just your lovely aura and personality as well. So I'm glad the Her Sport community have recognised that, and I'm sure Ireland and everybody else will continue to too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A phenomenal season for Sarah Lavin, and to achieve what she achieved after experiencing such tragedy is truly remarkable, and we wish her all the best for 2024. Now, 2023 was an incredible year for Irish sport. We had the Women's World Cup, we had qualifications for the Olympic Games, we have world records being broken, and of course, All-Ireland success as well. And here are the nominees for the Her Sport Athlete of the Year, sponsored by Braeburn Coffee.
And the winner of Athlete of the Year, sponsored by Braeburn Coffee, is Katie McCabe. Leading the Irish women to their first ever World Cup and Player of the Year for Arsenal, it's certainly fair to say that Katie McCabe is a global superstar. Unfortunately, due to obligations with Arsenal, Katie couldn't join us tonight but sent a message.
Hi everyone, Katie McCabe here. Thank you to everyone who voted for me and to Her Sport for continuing to promote women's sport in Ireland. I definitely wouldn't have been here in this position without my teammates, management and support staff, so a big, big thank you to them. I always view these awards to share with those people because football is a team sport and you need to appreciate everyone who has a role to play. So a big thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy your evening.
Cohorts more mílteach le Katie McCabe, and we're delighted that her dad, Gary McCabe, is here with us tonight to accept the award on her behalf, and we'll welcome Gary on stage now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Enjoy, well done.
Have a seat. You're mic'd up, we might as well chat to you.
Go on.
Gary. Katie scaled new heights in 2023. We all remember her sensational goal in the World Cup, leading the Irish women out in the Viva for the first time ever, being the first Irish woman shortlisted on the Ballon d'Or shortlist. The list goes on and on. Goal of the year for Arsenal. You must be unbelievably proud.
No, well, like I say, she takes after me. But yeah, it's been a great few years for her. You know, she's been prolific, and she's determined and dogged, and hopefully her younger sister now gets the same determination and drive that she has. You know, so yeah, she's good.
She's one of 11, so certainly a busy household. What was Katie like growing up?
Katie was shy growing up to the age of 4 or 5. She used to watch me and her brother playing in the hall, and she'd be in the sitting room peeking around the corner, you know, watching us playing. So it took her to the age of 5 that I got her out to the first World Cup, mini World Cup, and where we lived. That's where she had that talent. You could see it, the ability, 5, 6, 7. She had something different than the boys and the girls, and nurtured there from 5, 6, 7.
What was it about her that made you feel like that she had something different, that she had that special talent?
I just knew it straight away. When I seen her at 5 or 6 years of age, she had something that nobody else had. And you could see it, and the boys knew it, and when she played with Crumlin, excuse me, my house is trouble. But yeah, she just had that natural talent. The boys couldn't understand her when she was playing with Crumlin when she was 9 and 10. She got Player of the Year for 2 years in a row. The boys just couldn't handle her. She was just exceptional. You know, a left foot, left swing, and that's the way she was. She's just natural born talent.
And was she always determined?
Yeah, she was. Once she knew what she was good at, she was always determined to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And even today, she still does that.
What traits did Katie have as a player and that she has in her personality to make her the leader that she is on the pitch as well, on and off?
Her own belief it was. She didn't get pushed by me. I wouldn't push anybody. She just had a natural belief, she did herself, and she knew her own talent, and she kept pushing it herself, you know, and that's the way she is. And she's still doing it today, to this day, you know.
Looking back at last year, the Women's World Cup, I believe you were there, Gary, were you?
I was, yeah, thank God.
Talk to me about that experience. What was it like seeing Katie lead the Irish team out on opening night in front of 80,000 people?
Well, for me, it was unbelievable. It was. I cried so much, they wouldn't believe it. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's something you can't describe, something you'll never experience again, probably. But at the time, it was unbelievable, it was. And I say, tears came to my eyes when I seen her walking out there. And oh, stop.
Let it flow, Gary. You're amongst friends here tonight. What do you think Katie regards as her biggest achievement to date?
I think her biggest achievement to date was qualifying for the World Cup and being successful as she is. Her determination. And she wants that belief in young kids growing up here now playing football. She wants them to be as successful as her. Mm-hmm. And she is the role model there. And I think a lot of kids look up to her now, and I think that's good for her.
And she has a younger sister looking up to her as well. You have another footballer in the family, in Lauren.
Yeah, we have Lauren. Yeah, Lauren is doing quite good, you know. So I can't say any more because the agents are there watching. So I can't say no more.
We can cut it out for TV, it's fine.
They're watching me here. They're watching me here. Probably recording me as well.
How special would it be to see Lauren line out with Katie in an Irish jersey?
That's a goal of mine. Lauren's 16. She's well capable of stepping up to the plate. So if she gets the call up and she's 18, Katie be, oh, geez, it's not my age. You know, but that would be a force for a country to have two sisters playing on the same international team. That's something I'd like to see, you know, and it could happen if Eileen is good. So we'll see. We'll see.
You'll have a chat to the agents anyway.
We'll have it. Say no more.
Do you think Katie realises what a mark she's leaving on the world of women's football and women's sport, especially in Ireland?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's well up there with that accountability. She knows what she's done for Irish football, girls football in Ireland, maybe across the continent as well. But yeah, Kate is well there, and she knows what she's done, and it's great for all the young girls in Ireland that are playing because they look
She's
up to her as a role
name.
model,
Yeah.
you know, and she's done great.
And what do you think her main goal is now for 2024?
2024, I'd say, you know, just to do well, get into the next competition, Europeans. We'll see what happens after that.
Gary, we'll leave it like that. Wasn't too painful, was it?
No, it was good.
No. Full of us more to Gary McCabe.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rainan, you're a star.
The Community Award, sponsored by Energia, celebrates those who make the sport we love possible. The nominations that came in for this category were outstanding, and I have to say, I'm glad that I'm not the person that had to pick the winner. The top 3 nominations for this award are all here tonight. Please put your hands together for Michaela Casely, Carmel Greeley, and Emer Whelan. Well done.
And the winner is Carmel Greeley. Carmel became involved in the community games in Ballinasloe in 1973. That's 50 years ago, and she's still a stalwart and still going strong. Cuddamud's falsa war rimpa in it. Carmel, huge congratulations. What does this feel like?
It's a huge surprise to me because I heard about this on Wednesday. Wednesday I heard about this, and today's Saturday as far as I know. But
you had time to get the goon anyway.
Well, look, it's absolutely... Oh, that's an old one. You know, vintage, best. It's a fantastic honour to be here. I never thought it would ever happen to me. It's a fantastic honour, and it's great, and thank you so much. But to be in the presence of so many distinguished sports people here tonight, it's a great honour.
Well deserved.
Great. It's great.
Talk to me about your role with the community games in Ballinasloe.
Well, in 1968, Joe Connolly, a great gentleman in Walkinstown in Dublin, set up community games. And his main aims was to introduce children to a sporting or cultural event of their choice. And it started in a very small way, but it spread like wildfire. And after 5 years, in 1973, we had a great rugby team in Ballinasloe. And as ye ladies all know, they needed a secretary. That is 51 years ago. And I had a son on the team on that same year. Noel Mannion, the great rugby player for Ireland, was on that team. So I volunteered to become the secretary. And I am still secretary. After 51 years. After 51 years. Having said all of that, Community Games was absolutely fantastic. And we arrived by train with a sea frontage on a 250-acre holiday camp in Mosney, which was the prize if you got to the national finals. Sure, the kids from Ballinasloe thought it was absolutely fantastic, as you would at that time. So playing the games was not terribly important. It was meeting the girls like you do in the Gaeltacht and places like that. But the atmosphere in it, and the pomp and the ceremony and the sense of occasion was unbelievable. So, as some of us do, keeping interested in the organisation, I am still on the county committee. I am still president of Connacht Community Games. I served for 21 years as vice president of the organisation, with at the decision-making table, was National Development Officer for Community Games at a time when there were 32 counties actively involved in what was and still is a fantastic sporting organisation. One thing Joe Connolly pioneered was equality and inclusion. So from the very start, we had boys and girls in every event. Boys and girls football, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls and everything. And where we didn't have that, it was all boys, all girls, or mixed. So we always catered for the girls in community games, as we still do. And make no mistake about it, if you put a 9-year-old boy and a girl on a team together, the girl will come out on top. Always. And the reality of that is, in one particular year when we had mixed rugby under 11, there was a panel of 12 with 9 to play. There were 2 divines, Matthew and John, on that team. And there was Shane Jennings on that team, who have all played for Ireland. And guess who was in the middle of the 9 lads? The 11 lads was Bevan Parsons. And that same Bevan Parsons, I was delighted and honoured to have my photograph taken with her on the poster outside, epitomises the fact. Put women on a level football pitch at any time, and they're as good, if not better, than the guys. Aoibhinn Riley, Heather Payne played in mixed rugby as well. She's playing for Ireland in soccer. So, you know, we cultured the inclusion and the equality in community games always.
Yeah, there's incredible talent coming from Ballinasloe over the past number of years. We heard you mention Aoibhinn Riley and Bevan Parsons, their Team of the Year winners tonight.
Naomh Deely.
Naomh Deely as well.
Yeah.
How important is grassroots?
Grassroots is vital to everything. And there is a move away from having competition for younger children. But you must have them. We have under 8s under 10s. And every child that I've ever met in my 51 years, you know, it's a good job I have a good hairdresser, in 51 years, all have a natural talent. You'll see it in the children running in age 6 and the under 8 event. You'll see the artistic child at 7 years of age who just has it. You'll see the child who is clever, who is good at quizzes that we would all have in community games. You know, gymnastics, art, model making, handwriting. You'll see the good rugby player. You'll see the good athlete. You will see them all. So what is vitally important for all of us is to foster and promote and encourage that great talent and have them coming up at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You must have the mini teams, you must have your children involved, and that's why our organisation, Community Games, start as under 6, finish at under 16, with the kindergarten of the sport, the encouragement, giving the commitment of all the volunteers, and then they have a choice and they move on to the excellent, and I mean excellent, voluntary work that's done with all the sporting organisations. They're standing on the sideline watching what we have and hoping that they'll go and join their clubs. So personally now, and a lot of people might disagree with me, but I think 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, it's vitally important to have the children involved, and then you get them. And they choose which event or what they want to go, where their future is. But, you know, and if you're involved in sport or chess or drafts or anything like that, if your mind is working in something to get you away from your phone, you know, it's vitally important, because a team game is brilliant. And you'll always have the good lad. You'll always have the Bevan Parsons or the Shane Jennings. But you can never play a team of 16 with one. You need 15 and maybe 20 subs if you can get them. So you see, and I've seen this down through the years. So you'd have a young guy and say, now you're playing fullback. Remember, it's terribly important. You're part of this team. You're one of 16. And we need the 16. So, you know, they're part of a team. They're part of a community. Camaraderie, friendship, all of that's great for the mind, great for the body, healthy future, sure.
You're a busy woman, Carmel. You're amazing. An inspiration to have you here with us tonight. Before we let you go, is the Community Games as strong as ever, and what is your hope for 2024?
Well, I'm 3 generations involved in community games, and when we started, there were no televisions, there was no radios. You went to Mosney, there was no parents, there was no. You had the children, you had the children. You had the managers, and you were confined to 4 for 20. You had the managers and no parents, no through traffic, no nothing. Now, and it was absolutely fantastic. Where are we going? Is it as strong as it was? Well, there's a different child, there's a different organisation out there to what we had then. And you have to progress and move with the times, which we all understand and know. But competition, you know, we had a different structure. We still have the same structure. We have lost the mini Olympic thing that we had when children and managers stayed over the weekend, and you had this disco at night, and you had all of the games for the children. The camaraderie and the friendship was built up with the children, but more importantly, it was built up with the adults in the counties. I have a community games family all over Ireland, you know, today. So we haven't that 4-day big festival at the weekend, but we're doing extremely well. And the difficulty we have in not having that mini Olympics is that we cannot get a venue. To get a venue that will cater for 3,000, you know, accommodation and events over a weekend, if anyone out there knows where we can do it, please let us know. But We are doing extremely well. We've built up again since COVID. COVID, everything just stopped. And it is difficult to build it up. And everyone find that. Even in schools, you'll find it. We're building again. We have a very, very strong, good board. The Irish Sports Council are very, very much behind us. We still have the same number of events. And if you stood at a national finals or a county final, and what we have when it comes to national finals, we would have all the football on in the one area with 4 pitches. And you stand there and you see the standard that's there. You turn your back on the girls and you go over to the boys, you come back to the girls. The standard is unbelievable. We're in Carlow at the moment. It is a fantastic venue for our national finals. But then we've other national finals we have to, to split up and bring around. But we are as strong as ever. We are building. But thankfully, from what it was when I became involved, the structures of the GAA, the soccer, the rugby in our town in Ballinasloe, we could cater for 65 teams playing in our town on one day on the Connacht finals with the facilities we have. So everything has improved in every capacity, and we're trying to fulfill what we started initially. We're mainly an introductory organisation. We give them the opportunity, we foster the talents they have, and we bring them on. So from the ideology of the organisation, we are definitely as strong as we always were, but it has changed slightly. But we have a great board and great support from the Sports Council.
Thank you so much,
Carol.
It was a pleasure having you on stage with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
So you're all very welcome back. I hope you're ready to enjoy the second part of the show. The nominees for the Her Sport Young Athlete of the Year, sponsored by Whoop, are the rising stars and the future of Irish sport. Many of these are already household names and have excelled in their respective fields. The shortlisted nominees for the Her Sport Young Athlete of the Year, sponsored by Whoop. A European bronze medalist, 2-time under-23 European champion, an under-23 silver, Olympic qualification and an Irish record. Coming from racing at the pool this morning, to be here tonight, the winner of the Young Athlete of the Year, sponsored by Whoop, is Ellen Walsh.
Ellen, you may take a seat. Thank you for joining us here tonight. You have a very busy schedule at the moment, but tell me about last year. It was an incredible year for you. How do you reflect back on it now?
Yeah, I think it was a massive year for Irish swimming, and I came back from a massive illness the year before. I was out in the States and I got glandular fever, and I made return home in the April, and I was like, I had to sit out the summer and recover, and I came back kind of probably back racing in December, and our qualifications for the Olympics were in the summer 6 months later, and to be on the team to Paris was just amazing to come back, so yeah.
Well, an incredible accolade for all you have achieved last year, and you've certainly kicked 2024 off with a bang as well. You were competing at the Flanders Cup in the Flanders Swimming Cup over in Belgium, and you brought 6 medals home with you. Am I right in saying that? 4 gold, 1 bronze, and 1 silver. You must have been weighed down coming home with all those medals. Not a bad way to start the year.
Yeah, no, it was nice to get up and race. I guess a long course pool can be quite nerve-wracking to get back into. We start our season with a short course and it's kind of easy to wrap your head around it, but to face the long course can be quite a toll on the head, and I think it was just to get up and go, and we had a massive Irish team there, a lot of young athletes to travel with, which is great. It brings a lot of atmosphere. Sometimes it can get a bit kind of heavy and we're all kind of stuck in the same thing, but to bring some younger athletes and get them to kind of look forward into the future is just amazing. So yeah.
That competition acts as a qualifier for other competitions throughout the year, like the World Championships in Qatar. But are you solely focused now on Paris?
Yeah, I qualified for Paris at Worlds in the summer in Japan, and I think coming back from there, I was like, I sat down with my coach and I was like, yeah, I think we won't take Doha. I think I need to train. I unfortunately had to take minor surgery in October, and I was just like, okay, head down, get the train done in February, so I'll sit out this Worlds and hopefully be ready to go for Paris, so yeah.
You mentioned qualification last year, and it's worth noting again that you were the first Irish swimmer to secure qualification for the Olympics. That deserves a full of us. What did that moment feel like?
Yeah, we were away on a big camp in Thailand, and then we made our way over to Japan, and I was first on the blocks for Ireland, and I guess I had been before in the past, and sometimes that can be a bit nerve-wracking because you're kind of setting the standard for the week, and I got up and I scraped into top 16 and got into a semi-final, and from a side lane I was able to secure my spot for Paris. So yeah, it was a very special moment. It was probably definitely a lot better than the first time I qualified, so yeah.
You've made a habit out of breaking records. You were the first Irish woman to break a minute for a 100-metre butterfly in a long course pool, and you've broken so many records since that record that you broke in 2020. But where did it all start for you? When did you start swimming?
I started swimming in my local pool, I think when I was 4 or 5 years old, like lessons through there, and then I kind of just ended up in the club. I don't think swimming was in the back of the head. It definitely wasn't a gene in the family, was it? But yeah, I just ended up there, and I think I just thrived from then on, and I sat exams in school, and I think at the end of school I was kind of like, well, is it swimming or some other career? And I was like, right, foot down, let's try the swimming one anyways first. So yeah, that's where I am, and I'm loving it, so yeah.
What was that time like, focused on training and on school and your studies and all that goes along with being a teenage girl as well?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge at times. It's 100% not easy. Your friends are going out and you got to go, no, got train in the morning, you know. And I guess when you're in that stage between, am I swimming? Like, I'm getting up early, like, I don't want to do that, you know. It's trying to balance everything, be organised, and, you know, you're sitting up doing homework as well. And I think balancing all of it is definitely a challenge, and it always will be, but it is possible, and you can definitely do it, so, yeah.
What was it, for young girls and boys out there looking up to you, what was it that made you focus on swimming? What made you decide to put all your energy into that?
I think I was coming into my final year of school, and I think I was looking at kind of colleges, and I was like, am I going to college because that it's kind of, you know, primary school, secondary school, college, or am I just going to take sports? And I enjoyed swimming, and I kind of was making teams and stuff, and I was kind of like, I'm actually kind of liking this. Like, how far do I need to get before I can get the world stage and be in a world final and stuff? So I kind of, during COVID, I got to train with my coach, and I just put the foot down. I was like, right, it's this or nothing. So, and I got on the team to Tokyo, so.
Not bad after you saying, sure, I'll give it a go and see how it works out. Did you compete in any other sports?
Like, I played a bit of hockey through school, and I played basketball and did gymnastics when I was younger. I did a little bit of everything, and I'm not sure why swimming stood out more than others, but I guess I kind of kept swimming up the whole way through school, and I never really kept up anything else through school, so it was kind of just swimming or school, so yeah.
As someone who swims about 30 minutes max, a few days a week, I can't imagine spending the amount of time that you do training in a pool. Even from the mental side of it, it takes a lot of dedication. Like, where does your mind go when you're swimming?
I think definitely training through COVID was definitely really tough for me. I was training on my own, just me and my coach, and I probably struggled with that mental side of it. I was kind of like, you know, like 5K, 6K, and you're just getting through it. And then I guess when I qualified, I was like, right, and I think when I came back from Tokyo and I was moving to the States, my brain just switched, and I just absolutely love training. I love going up and down the pool, and I don't even know what I'm thinking of. I couldn't even tell you, but I have my whole life planned out in that one session. And
I usually do shopping lists.
Yeah, like I've everything. I'm gonna go home, walk my dogs. I call them the boys. So I'm gonna go home, do that, maybe do that. Definitely take a nap, back train. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of everything goes to your head. And I love when the fast set kicks in. You're burning, you know, your muscles are like and it's just I just love it. Yeah, it's just great. Like.
You spent the majority of your training with your club in Temple Oak, but you spent some time studying in Tennessee as well. Talk to us about what that was like.
Yeah, so I came back from Tokyo and I moved out to Tennessee. We have another international swimmer out there, Mona, and moved out there, was a freshman, she was a sophomore, and she kind of got me into the swing of things. And I was back to school then, and I had taken a year out through COVID and stuff, and it was definitely hard, like waking up, going training early again, back to the early mornings and going to classes and doing public speaking and all the things that were just really challenging for me. And like, I guess everyone else on the team was doing it, so you weren't any different. So school was normal, which I think when I'm here, like my friends are in different colleges, we're not all doing the same thing. So I think finding the balance over there was definitely a challenge, but you get into the swing of it and it was grand, so yeah.
And you're back in Temple Oak now, training and teaching. Yeah. How special is your club to you?
Yeah, it means the most to me. Like, I came from a tiny tot all the way to the top. I'm now the oldest there. I was the youngest at some stage. But yeah, like I love helping out the young ones and giving back to the sport. I think even today I was racing this morning and there was 2 other younger girls. I think they're about 15, 16 in the race as well. And it's, you get out and you're just like, you know, you did that with me, you know, like, and it's just nice. Like, they're kind of beside you, they're with you. I don't train with them all the time. They do the earlier mornings. I get to sleep in because I'm old now. But yeah, no, like having them beside me race, you kind of look across and you're like, yeah, like that was me, and now I can hopefully help them girls like get to where I am today. Or even I remember when I was younger, like we didn't have any older people. There wasn't anyone over 20 swimming really in my day. So hopefully they look up and be like, oh, it can be possible, you know, so yeah.
Well, you've achieved so much so far. Tell me about the Olympic Games back in Tokyo in 2020. What is your thoughts on that, or what did you bring with you from that experience in Japan?
Yeah, it was definitely a quick turnaround. I'd qualified quite late. I think I had 3 weeks of a turnaround between qualifying and getting on the plane. So, you know, you pick up your gear and you get over there. And sure, when you looked up in the stand when I walked out to my race, like, there was no one. It was completely dead. Like, it was during COVID. My parents were at home. And it was quite a weird kind of vibe. But I knew after that race I was going to be an Olympian for life. And no one can take that from you. So it was a pretty special moment.
What are the main learnings that you have brought with you from experiencing the Olympics Games, looking ahead now to Paris?
Yeah, I think down then I was a completely different athlete. I would say I was quite I'm probably a much maturer athlete now, and you kind of look back and be like, I can be better there, or I can be better here. And I think I was slightly younger and I'd hit a time, and if I'd done that time, I would have been in the semi-final, and you know, you're just burst out in tears. You're like, that's my dream over. But you pick yourself up, and I'm back again, and I've learned so much. Like, you know, you can get out faster, a few turns a bit quicker, and just racing the race beside you. These girls aren't that scary, you know, we're all the same. Like, and when you're a little bit younger, you are scared. Like, you know, you're walking out and you're like, they've been on the world stage so many times, but we're all the same now. You know, you look across and you're like, let's go. You know?
Let's go. You've achieved so much already, but you're clearly hungry for more. So what is your main goal for 2024?
I'd love to be an Olympic semi-finalist. Maybe a finalist? Yeah, hopefully.
Well, we look forward to following your journey, and congratulations again tonight and for all you have achieved so far. Bulbas Morga Ellen Wad. Thank you. Wat is een naam is fout a chur fan in the hiche nacht le play a roll na man nor a hagencha gomon sna sports. Agus fresh in the louds fwyn the duchlan a one and leva at the Lochlianta sports agus two at the van nu at the Challeen Og. And I'm delighted to be joined by our wonderful panel of Paul Galvin, Shabana Hearn, and Niamh Talon has made her way as far as us as well. Bulabus Morgo. And they're with me tonight to discuss the opportunities but also the challenges that face women in working in sports media, and also to chat about what it's like to be a sports fan. Hi guys.
Hello.
How are we doing? Shaban, we'll kick things off by talking about your journey into sports media. You're fast becoming one of the biggest names when it comes to women's football in the UK, but where did it all begin for you and how did it all happen?
So all I really knew, now I look at women in football, was the odd girl in football, and one of them was my twin sister, Rusha. So I go back to, playing with the boys in school, to my dad being one of the coaches, to her then going to play with the women's team and just being this young, shy girl who wouldn't say boo to a goose. That all changed. And that's, for me, what I remember from football growing up. It was watching the girls play before I'd ever seen a Premier League game. And I went into broadcast when I was 15 from my work experience. I always wanted to be a newsreader in my head. And that didn't quite happen, but I worked in radio, was pressing the buttons, and went into music radio from quite a young age. So I was on air from about 19 years old. And then, fast forward a few years, there was a different situation when COVID happened, and I lived with my sister and our partner and my husband, and we'd had this conversation. I said, I really want to now start pushing women's football. I was looking at the difference in the game at that point and how things were moving, and started a podcast and just kind of transitioned to pushing women in sports from there, to TalkSport, to DAZN, to YouTube, to Sky Sports, to Whisper, and it's just been the best transition ever. It's been so much fun, and that's the long and short of the story.
And you've definitely achieved so much, and you're paving the way for so many women who want to be where you are now. And you mentioned Rusha there. For those who don't know, she is Rusha Littlejohn's twin sister.
Better looking twin sister.
So you grew up, Rusha was probably the sport nut, playing the sport. Were you a fan of football because Rusha was playing, that you were invested in her?
Yeah. I was an Irish dancer for 22 years, and Rush played football.
We should have gotten you up at the start.
I didn't want to show up the UCD girls. I thought I'll let them have it. But yeah, we were very, very different. But, she just had such a talent. She was so good at it. Anytime she played, people had a comment on it. And now I look at her playing professionally. After all of these years, after always maintaining and trying and, attempting things and failing and getting knocked out of teams and not getting a new contract, and going from, just a young girl who loved kicking a ball about to opening at the Women's World Cup was just such a, a special thing. We had very different interests, but now working together, her playing sport and me being a broadcaster is like the perfect recipe to help each other. And I'm thoroughly enjoying that journey and being on it with her. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And what is it like for you personally, being in a world that's traditionally male-dominated when it comes to sports broadcasting? Do you find that you get a bit of a backlash?
It's funny, we were just chatting about this, weren't we, at the interval there. It's quite a common question now to be asked, like, women working in sport, you hear, I don't know if you know about the Joey Barton story over in Ireland, yeah, just like, he's just irrelevant, really. And that sounds really mean, but if it were somebody like Ian Wright, who I see at Boreham Wood, week in, week out, following Arsenal women and watching the Lionesses at the Women's World Cup, who turned round and said, women should stick to women and men should stick to men, I'd go, we've got a bit of a problem here, because that's Ian Wright. But it's somebody who isn't interested, he's not passionate, he doesn't care, he doesn't understand, then we shine a light on his views. And I think that makes it more of a deal than it has to be. It's not okay, it's not acceptable. But I think now, from a media's point of view, we now have to start just not giving any more oxygen to that.
100%.
Get a thick skin, ignore it, move on, and it won't go any further than that. We're better than that now.
100%. Do you feel that there's added pressure on you to prove yourself and to prove your knowledge because you're in a male-dominated world? I know myself personally speaking, being a presenter of the men's rugby team, I felt like I always needed to prove I am where I am because I deserve to be there. But I think that's women in general, that we put ourselves down and we expect so much of ourselves.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I've quite often, after a bad day at work, I've said to my husband, I wish I hadn't said it like that, or could I have said that better, and maybe I doubt myself. But honestly, I think in moments like that, I can look at myself and say, did I prepare enough? Did I work hard enough? Did I do my research enough? And if I didn't, then I know I'm to blame. And if it's somebody just being a sexist idiot, then it's not my business. They can have their opinion.
Yeah, it's all about being comfortable yourself. Paul, we'll welcome you in to give the male voice. 4-time All-Ireland winner and 3-time All-Star. how important is it to have the male's perspective showing support for women who work in sports media?
Yeah, I think it is really important, and I, just listened to Shaban there. I can totally understand. I have lived probably the experience having my wife work in media. I can totally understand where Shaban is coming from. I see how much she puts into it and how much it means to her. I think research and interest and passion for your job is everything. It will always come through in how you perform and present. And, I think that ultimately is that's all that counts. I don't understand the gender thing. I don't understand. I think talent is talent. Talent is genderless, and interest and passion is also genderless. I see with my wife. I have to say, I do think a female broadcaster has to be better than good. I think a female broadcaster has to be really good to last in the industry. I do think, and I have seen it is more difficult probably for female broadcasters to survive in the industry. I think, and I have to choose my words carefully when I say what I'm about to say, but I feel like probably female broadcasters in media are that little bit more disposable maybe. They can be probably moved along and are ignored for a position than a male can. I think there's that challenge always for female presenters.
They don't naturally have that credibility because they're a girl.
I don't know. I don't think it's credibility. I think probably it's it's probably male dominated in terms of who's making the decisions
Who's
and
maybe at the top?
yeah. And who's I think that's probably part of it. I believe strongly in promoting and supporting my wife, let's say, in media, and I think they're great presenters right now in the GA context. I admire Joanne Cantwell. I must say, I think she's brave. She's not biased. I think she's interested in what she's doing, and she's not biased. I think it's easy for male presenters at times to be biased in how they're asking questions or presenting topics to pundits. Where I do think female presenters are more honest, actually.
And what do you think of the view, I'm not saying everybody has this view, but that women, and I'll open it up to all three of you, should stick to women's sports and men should stick to men's sports? Niamh? Obviously, we know what you think, but there is a lot of that out there, isn't there?
I think a lot of the differences that we see are in relation to pitch sports. So the sport that I came from was swimming, and I think lining up together, racing, a girls race, a boys race, a girls race, a boys race, similar to in athletics, gymnastics, and that type of thing, training alongside each other. I think there's a huge amount of respect among male and female athletes, and I think that translates to someone sharing their opinion, having knowledge on a sport. I think where we see the differences is in the pitch sports, and I think that's absolutely where, what we're talking about here is that the female broadcasters, pundits, commentators have to have so much more work done because they're going to be challenged. And I think we do see a lot of difficulty, particularly online. Like, obviously, look, we've built a business out of social media and we've been able to use social media for good, but there's a lot of nastiness out there, and women are the ones that are getting the biggest challenges. I think we've seen a lot of pundits and commentators that have not been at the highest level, and I know there's a lot of Premier League managers that have not competed at the highest level, but they're still very good at their job. So it's about having the right qualification, whether that is having the analytical eye, or in the role of a coach or a manager, or in the role of a pundit or a broadcaster. Not all high-performance athletes can coach or can teach. And I think that's something that we have to consider also in the position of somebody in giving analysis or commentating or broadcasting. And on the last point that I'll make on this is having people that have come from high performance and have come from an elite perspective. there is the risk of speaking in a different language. And we have to remember that not everybody has been there. So less than 1% of the population are going to compete at elite sport. And there's a couple of sports that I could change my language, and a lot of people in this room wouldn't know what I'm talking about. So you have to make sport accessible. You have to make sure that people understand and come on that journey with you. And also there's the skill of storytelling. So again, not all high performance athletes can go and do that. I think we have seen maybe people in the past that'll get the jobs because of their sporting history or accolades. Whether the best person for the job or not, that might not be true.
And I think it comes down to that. It's just picking the best person for the job, regardless of gender. As co-founder of Her Sport, you obviously saw a gap and felt the need to give women's sports a voice. What are the main changes you have seen when it comes to how men and women, I suppose, consume sport?
Yeah, so this is something that we would talk about a lot when we're strategizing, I suppose, and trying to get in front of the right people. So women's sports fans are digitally native, and that's the direction that we're going. We're used to looking online for games, results, all these mad streams to try and find the competitions and to tune in. And, you know, it's now that we are getting more opportunity to watch women's sports on television. You know, we're seeing a real fandom build and develop, and even like all the young girls and boys that we have here tonight, like it's fantastic to hear them and the enthusiasm, albeit a lot of it was about the raffle as well. But look, going down to Tala, going to the Aviva Stadium, going to Croke Park, like it's amazing to see so many young people coming down to watch women's sport, and I think we're starting to create a culture where they won't see gender. And they're just going to show up to watch entertainment and to watch sport. I did bring my cousin who's here tonight and her friend that's also here to the All-Ireland final in Croke Park. And one thing that I noticed was it was very easy to find people because they were all much smaller than me. But hopefully in a couple of years they'll all be, the same height or taller or whatever that might be, and we will see adults, male and female, there to watch women's sport. And look, you have to start at the grassroots. You have to bring the young people there to see it and to garner the respect. And I think among clubs and to anybody that's part of a GA club or a football club or a rugby club out there, make sure that you're bringing your young people to the women's and the men's games. Don't just go and watch the All-Ireland hurling final. Go to the camogie final as well, because the significance of that is huge.
It's about changing the mindset, isn't it? Do you think women are becoming more comfortable, Siobhan, at being sports fans?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, being at the Women's World Cup, there's some people in this room who bumped into earlier on, like, we met at the World Cup and we were at the fan parks. Everyone's just enjoying themselves. There shouldn't be any judgment of enjoying a sport or feeling that you shouldn't be enjoying football because you're a girl or you're a woman, or, that wasn't tradition growing up. Sport is for everyone, and we forget that along the way because when you look at the likes of football, say, in England, it's just this really rich money talks industry where morals are forgotten sometimes along the way. Yeah. I think now the amount of people in this room who are looking for content, they're on your platforms, they know what they're looking for because they want women in football, they want to follow the swimmers, they want the women's rugby team or the sevens. They know what they're sussing out and they know where they can get it now. So that I think when it's that whole if you can see it, you can be it kind of thing, and I thoroughly believe in that. I think if they know where to get what they love, they'll go find it and they'll feel comfortable, and I think that's really important for especially young, impressionable people who are grown up and wanting to be in sport.
Being at the Women's World Cup for you personally, what was that experience like? Because I felt like there was a huge surge in support and in the, I suppose, coverage of women's football because of that.
It was really tough. I had to fly to Brisbane and it was summer. It was unbelievable. It was incredible, and now more and more recently I keep having these chats with Rush when we talk about the hotel that they stayed at in Brisbane. And when covering a team, I was working for TalkSport, so you have the rights to go into the camp and then interview the players, and then you'll follow them to like their training sessions, and it's really fascinating. But I kept finding myself back at the Emporium, which is one of the nicest hotels in Brisbane, where the Ireland team were staying, like ordering wine in the room and just kind of, whilst Risha was doing media duties, I'll be there in the nice bath, and my husband was at home with the twins, like, what is happening? So I really enjoyed that as a workplace jolly, but it was incredible. Like, we heard from Gary McCabe earlier, and that same feeling of watching someone who you just love so much, you know, walking out at the biggest Women's World Cup that's ever been. They're going to get bigger the more they go on. And working at a job that I love, where TalkSport, for example, was very male dominated, but they are now and have been over the last few years so invested in growing women's sport and wanting to shine the light on it. And working for them as my job and watching my sister open the World Cup was just one of the most special things that I think that will ever happen in life. It really is. It was really, really incredible. And I've forgotten what the question was. Did I go off on a tangent?
It sums it up perfectly. Basically, if you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. Isn't it? Paul, what do you think about how welcoming, I suppose, male sports fans are to having female sports fans? You know, you have the office chats about the game last night and all of that. Do you think it's welcoming for female sports fans?
Yeah, I mean, that strikes me. I've heard that said. It strikes me as a little bit Jurassic, you know, but I think it's probably, there's some truth to it in the sense that men do maybe dismiss or expect women to qualify maybe their opinions and kind of prove their opinions and kind of justify their opinions a little bit when it comes to sport. I think there probably is a grain of truth to that. It strikes me as really it's almost caveman stuff, and it's very much men's issues, really. Like, you know, it's a bit like the guy trying to chat up the lady. You know what I mean? It's a bit of that. I think insecurity in men as well, and being kind of not being sure what to say or do about this lady who has an opinion on sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it's very much a male issue, I think, and a male insecurity more than anything else, really. I wouldn't like to think that it's that prevalent now, but I definitely recognise what you're saying as you know, maybe a trait or a characteristic in men. I'm not sure if it's just in Irish men or in all men, but I think it's certainly something that you couldn't deny, really. You know, that is probably in men to a large extent. But then, look, it comes down to quality at the end of the day, as I was saying earlier. Quality is quality and talent is talent. You know, I think with presenters, I can't handle bluffers, whether they're male or female. I have no time. If I sense I'm being bluffed by a pundit, be it male or female, I'm out the gap. I don't want to hear anymore. I'll turn off and I will make a note of that particular pundit and I'll say,
cancelled.
Bluffer. You know, I've no time for cliches. I've no time for, like, you know, like, I want a bit of insight. I want a bit of information. I want to learn something, and I want to be made to think about what I've just been told by the expert, let's say. The pundit, you know, and I mean, this whole pundit and expert thing, you know, I don't know. There are presenters and there are, you know, ex-players. I'm not sure what a pundit is or what an expert is, but, you know, we're told there are lots of them out there, and I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I don't. I like to learn. I like to learn from the pundit. Mostly I learn from the presenter, to be honest with you, because a good presenter, I think, is the person who really leads the thing and informs the chat and is the person I learn from. But you know, I don't know whether it's male or female, whether it's he or she. I want to hear something interesting. I don't want to hear bluff. I don't want to hear cliches. I don't want to hear. The other interesting thing is tone. I find, you know, tone. You know, I think probably female pundits, female presenters, probably have to be more careful with their tone. You know, sometimes. I remember the Dawn Logue, Joanne spat in the studio that time about something Dawn Logue Cusack had said about the football qualifiers, I think it was, and Joanne Cantwell took him to task, you know, and she got quite a backlash for it. I admired her, and I do admire her, and I like Jackie is very good. The female broadcasters in GA at the moment are very good, are of a very good standard, But Joanne got a little bit of backlash, and it was actually, I think it was more Joanne's tone than what she had to say. I think men were a little bit challenged by Joanne challenging Donal Logue, and it was kind of less what she had to say and more to do with how she said it. There was a bit of men being. We were all scolded because she was scolding Donal Logue. We were all kind of leaning back. We were all leaning back on our couch a little bit, going, "Well, why is she giving out to us?" You know. But that's a man. But it's a man thing. That's a male insecurity, really. You know. So yeah.
Have you experienced anything like that, Siobhan?
Yeah, all the time, every day at work. Like, I try not to let it bug me now, but if it's a tweet, if it's a DM, if it's a comment on something, yeah, all of the time. If it's somebody who I might see at a party who you might not know normally, but then because they've heard you speaking about something, then they think it's then a conversation they're entitled to have with you, to have them their say, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it might not even be something I have an opinion on. It could be, why is that person sitting next to you in that job doing that when I could be doing it? That kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, okay, fine. But a point that you've made there about where it's pundits or presenters, they're very different things, very different skills to have. And we quite often hear now people say, like Eni Aluko, who's a lovely person, who's in England, has had a hard time of late because of comments she's made, or maybe the way she's presented a punditry style. And someone will go, I mean, it's not all women are bad. Like, look at Laura Woods, she's a good pundit. I'm like, she's not a pundit. Laura Woods is not a pundit. She's a presenter. She's a broadcast presenter who has a very different job to do. Now, if you ask me now to be a pundit and I were to give off analysts and stats, it's all going to go down the pan. I can tell you, because it's a different thing you're being asked to
100%,
do.
yeah.
So it's knowing the differences with people, and also just not going for them because they're a woman, maybe going for them because, no, you shouldn't go for anyone at all. That's bad advice. But, you know, it's also just like giving people a break, giving people some space. Everyone's allowed to make a mistake now and then. We all do it in our own jobs. But when you're on TV, when you're on the radio, and people can then clip that up and scrutinise you and just add fire and you know, fuel it all, it's a really horrible thing to be at home reading. You know, it really isn't nice. And there's that be kind, be nice we really have to be. But also, if you are subjected to that, use that as fuel to make you better, make you stronger.
I was just going to ask, how do you deal with it?
Definitely, and it takes time. It really does. Like only the other day, I was talking on TalkSport about Manchester City's case with Premier League profit and sustainability charges, and why have Forest and why have Everton been punished when Manchester City have 115 charges against them? Well, hell, mend me. Oh my God, the heat I got. This stupid cow has no idea what she's talking about. Who gave her a place? And I was reading it. I hadn't seen enough. I had gone off Twitter, and it wasn't until I was having dinner with my husband. He took a call. Your fault. And I then read Twitter, and I was like, and I thought, I'm going to reply. And then I was like, no, actually, don't reply to this. This is nothing. This will blow over. Just do your research once more. Make sure I was right, by the way. I was right. And you get better.
Going to Eni Aluko. Going to on Eni Aluko. My question with Eni Aluko is she any good? Is she any good at what she's supposed to be doing? Right. That's my number one. Whether she's male or female. When I listen to these pundits, I'm listening to my coach.
Are you asking me, or are you thinking?
I'm asking that, not of you, but I'm asking. That's what I'm asking myself.
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself, is she any good? Because when I'm listening to a pundit, be it her or be it a GA pundit, I'm listening to my coach.
Right.
As a player, I'm listening to my coach because I'm going, what's she telling me here? What's she teaching me here? Give me something to work on. Give me something to think about. Give me something that's going to make me better. Give me something that's going to improve me. If you're giving me sound bites and cliche and kind of bluff, I'm not having that. I'm just not having that. Whether you're Eni Aluko or my manager or my coach in the dressing room. So that's my thing. And I've been listening to bits about Eni Aluko, right? And the Barton thing is terrible. But at the same time, I'm also drilling into Eni Aluko, and I'm saying, well, okay, Eni Aluko, what are you all about? Tell me something. Well, tell me something I didn't know. Tell me something I didn't know, because I don't think you should. I don't think she should be treated any differently to a male pundit. I want the same quality. I want the insight. I want the information. And so that's my bottom line with pundits, be they male or female. if I'm listening to a pundit, I'm listening to a coach, and I want to be taught
The
something.
thing is, she is qualified to be in that seat. You know,
Yes,
she has played at the
for
highest
sure.
level. She has done it. She has fought her battles. She is entitled to be there. Now, if she's had a bad day at the office,
Yeah,
I don't
as
think
we
she
all have.
deserves the treatment that she gets, and to be victimised the way
Yeah.
Joey Barton did.
Yeah,
For her. I
no,
don't-
terrible, absolutely terrible.
I mean, well, we can all.
And the other thing, Siobhan, on your role, I think it is harder for female presenters, because I don't think female presenters will get away with the tone of male presenters. I think male presenters can ask questions in a way a female presenter never could. Male presenters can get more, I won't say aggressive, but you know, and a bit more forthright and a bit more opinionated. Whereas I'm not sure a female presenter will get away with being opinionated in the same way or forthright in the same way. I think there might be backlash for the female presenter for getting opinionated or forthright or pushing an issue or pushing a point. I'm not sure if the female presenter gets away with maybe that kind of thing the way a male presenter might.
And how does that change, Niamh?
I think that's the journey that we're on. Like, there's people that are absolutely uncomfortable with women coming into that space. There's no question, and there's, I suppose, probably men in the seats wondering, are the women coming in, you know, going to take their jobs? And we also have people sitting at home that don't want to, you know, hear the opinion or don't think that somebody's qualified for the job. And I think one of the things that the female, whether it be pundits or presenters, have to have is confidence. I think, you know, for everybody in the room, it's remembering like where women's place in society, you know, has been and where we've come from. You know, in terms of the marriage bar, it's only 50 years since it was lifted last year. I was speaking to my granny last year, and she was telling me how when she got married and she was considering going for a job, and they heard she was married, and that was it, out the door, see about it, like, good luck. So that is the journey that we're on, and we hear it when we hear of women in business and, you know, not maybe having as much confidence to throw, you know, their name into the hat or into the ring, and men, you know, I think the stat is that if men have like 4 or 6 out of 10, you know, qualifications on the job spec, they'll throw their name in and say, sure, look, you know, no harm, I'll see how I get on. But a woman is almost looking for 9 or 10, and you know, I think as women, whether it be in business or sport or whatever the roles is, it's to go for it. And I do educational workshops in some of the schools and say, like, what have you got to lose? Like, just go for it and have the confidence and go out there and give it your best. And I think that's the thing. We're going to have to prove ourselves over the next few years until it becomes normal and until people are comfortable in doing that. I suppose that's the unfortunate thing. We have to prove that we have got the ability, that we do belong there, that we have got the skill, that we have got the knowledge, and that's something that is just going to take time. But hopefully in the next 10 or 15 years, we will see a huge change. It's been a slow burn, but we are gradually getting there. And I think, you know, even a woman at the water cooler in a workplace, like, have the conversation. Don't be shy. Don't be waiting for somebody to tell you they're wrong. There could be the bluffers there that you're talking about. And I think, like, from my personal perspective, we were having this conversation, you know, recently, and I think it becomes very apparent very quickly that I know what I'm talking about. And I'd say that is the absolute same with Maura Trasa and the same with Siobhan. So voice your opinion. If you know something about the sport or the competition, you don't need to sit there and be quiet just because you're a woman. Have the confidence to get involved. And I suppose if you are the woman that has the confidence to sit in with the group of boys and go to the match, or, you know, go to the pub or whatever it might be, try and bring along other women that are interested in sport. And I think we have people in the room here tonight that have become avid football fans over the last couple of months, and that's the journey that we're on. There's so many people that want to be interested in sport and part of the culture and the society. Like, it, you know, you don't have to be an athlete, you can be a sports fan, and there's so much to be garnered from it. Like, everybody loves going to a match or watch a competition. I personally can't wait for the Olympics and Paralympics. But we have to, I suppose, be open-minded, and maybe to the men in the room to have that consideration. You know, let the women speak, hear their voice, hear their opinion. Maybe it's something to learn from. So.
And I think we have, you know. I think we have. I think men have. I think a smart woman is far smarter than a smart man. You know, and I say this to my wife. I think a smart woman is far smarter than a smart man. I do believe that. And men have so much to learn. Like, like I was a bit like I was saying earlier, like, you know, men are basic, you know what I mean? Men are basic. Men are not that, you know what I mean? We're basic creatures, like, you know, but we have a lot to learn from ladies, really, you know. My mother was had a very sharp, I have to say, a very sharp opinion on Gaelic football. I rated my mother's opinion on Gaelic football very high, much higher than lots of men. She had a really sharp insight. She had it to the end of her time. She had a sharp instinct and insight into football that I rated very highly. So I'm struggling with. I rate women's opinions, I have to say. So I'm struggling probably to get into the mindset of that Jurassic caveman type of women in sport and women having an opinion on sport not being valid. I struggle with it a small bit, but I'm afraid it is and has been a real thing.
Going back to the sports punditry point that we were making earlier, do you think because men or athletes, male athletes that have more training in sports media, when they transition into punditry, it might come easier to them as opposed to their female counterparts? What do you think, Siobhan?
Well, yeah, a lot of these pundits are also, you know, have PhDs and masters and have been and studied everything because they had to, because they couldn't rely on football. So perhaps their journeys have been slightly different. Also, the environment's quite different when you're in it, you know, between how men might all, you know, work together in one room and then one woman comes in, and it's quite a different situation to manage. I don't look now and feel that women have this unfair advantage. I really don't. I look at maybe Gabby Logan, for example, somebody who I looked up to when I was young, and I go, she had barriers. Like, she really had barriers. I think, you know, we can all sit here now knowing that the opportunity is there if we want it. You know, but we also need to have a thick skin and be prepared for knockbacks and know that it's going to hurt if someone says you aren't good enough, and know that someone at the top might say you ain't ready. You've got a long way to go, but use that. You know, if you want to do that, then someone else is going to at some point. Why not let it be you and really work towards it? There are different phases of sexism in the workplace. I feel the opportunity is there now. Some might see it as box ticking. Some might see it as some people being in certain roles because they are ticking a box. Well, then diversity also matters. You know, people have to make sure they're making the right decisions and giving people opportunities. Whether some people flourish, it's brilliant. Whether some people don't quite hit the mark, well, then they'll face the consequences. It's all, I think, individuals is how you want to push yourself and how you want to, you know, and how you want to flourish and go on and have a career. But the difference is that they're getting the opportunity now, and there was a long time where they didn't. And for me, I think we should be focusing on that as a positive.
Before we finish up, I'll throw this question out to the three of you. What do you want to see in the future when it comes to sports media?
Look, everything that we're trying to do is equal opportunity. And the biggest thing is the opportunity. Not everybody has to want to play sport, want to watch sport, want to go to the games. That's not it. There's plenty of men and boys that don't want to do that either. It's just about being welcome, feeling like you belong. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to do. You know, we have goals as a team. I have, you know, personal goals. I want to see Croke Park filled for the All-Ireland finals. That's simple as, and I think we have to be courageous in saying that. I want to see the women's rugby team and the football team, I want to see them playing in the Aviva on a regular basis. You know, we have funded, as taxpayers, we are funding sport in this country. We're funding what we're putting on television with RTÉ, with TG4. We as taxpayers are doing it. I think that's things that people need to realise, particularly looking at some of the state-funded organisations, and ask for more. You know, why aren't we seeing 50-50 split on television? Why aren't we hearing about it more on the radio? We're certainly going in the right direction, and credit to TG4. They are always trying to do more. But we have to just keep pushing, keep asking for more, keep showing up, keep bringing the girls to the games, the boys to the games. Like, you have to show up until it's normal, and then it'll come. Like, honestly, even here tonight, it was getting very competitive to get tickets, right? So we're going to have to get a bigger venue, because we had people emailing us today saying, can I have 2 more tickets? Can I bring somebody else? And I was going, geez, I don't know where we're going to put people. But that's it. And then next year it's going to be even more competitive and more people are going to be looking for it. And I suppose it's supply and demand. And that's what we have to do. We have to fill it and then the consistent demand will come. But yeah, opportunity and everyone just needs to keep showing up and we'll get there.
Paul, you have 2 young daughters. What do you think needs to happen for them to achieve if they want the same, get the equal opportunities that you got?
Yeah, I did. I was at the All-Ireland final, actually. I brought my older girl to the All-Ireland final, you know, and I'm keen to now start to expose her to sport and see how she reacts to sport, and if she has that competitive instinct in her, great, and if she takes the sport, great. So she's at that age now. It was interesting. I think what do we need to do in 2024? I think the experience, we need to think about the experience. It's a bit like the customer journey in retail. I think we need to think about the customer journey. I think the experience has to be thought further about and a little more deeply about by the brands, the sponsors, yourselves, Niamh, and you do a great job. I love what you do, and I'm going to continue to support what you do because I want my girls to grow up and have the opportunities. I think Siobhan is a great example and reference point, and I think we're doing well enough now. I have to say, I think we're doing quite well. I see loads of the girls, and I'm thinking in the GA context, 4 or 5, Joanne, Aisling O'Reilly, Jackie Hurley, forgetting 1 or 2 others that are there in big roles and big positions, and that's great. And I think that will only get better. So that would be, yeah, the experience, the journey when we go to games, what we're hearing and seeing and feeling, and it's a sensory thing. No, I think that's something should be looked at and thought about, that the experience is maybe examined.
Yeah, the breakthrough of female sports reporters, as you have alluded to, Siobhan, has been amazing to see. So where can we grow now from here?
Keep pushing. One thing I had a bit, if I'm to be slightly negative, was the Women's World Cup, you know, in Ireland opening against Australia in Sydney and not having the send-off game at at the Aviva, was something I was going, why was that ball dropped? You know, why was that not pushed ahead? Why was that not in place? Why was that not the biggest possible send-off? And I know Tala's home. I've had a good old night in Tala in my day, you know. But why weren't we pushing for more? Why wasn't it on the bigger stage? So I think it's keeping momentum going, keep pushing at that level, keep with platforms, getting to know, like there's so many of the winners who have been up here tonight. I'm like, wow, I need to know more about these women. You know, it's keeping shining a light on those personalities to grow the sport so youngsters, young boys, girls, families can see new heroes in the new future of Ireland and the future of sports and say, I want to be like that. I think that's so important. And again, it's the cliche stuff. If you can look at somebody as a role model and know that you can do it, I think it's the perfect example. So it's keep pushing that forward, more of that to come, and I think it will definitely happen.
What a wonderful note to finish on. Muwafas le Siobhan Éal, Paul Galvin, Siobhan Ahern and Niamh Callan. Well, tá sé námanis an sé atá ránía le háta hógáil a hálan na léachra a animnú, a trailblazer of Irish rugby. She led the Irish rugby team during one of the most successful periods of Irish sport. She led them to their first ever Grand Slam in 2013, 3 World Cups, captained them during the historic win against New Zealand in 2014. She amassed 85 caps in a green jersey, and she's now over the try line, and after etching her name in the Her Sport Hall of Fame, she is, of course, the one and only Fiona Coughlin.
Congratulations, Fee, on your Her Sport Hall of Fame award. It's so fitting that you're getting this award from Her Sport, who, through the years of Irish rugby and women's sport at the time and before, there's an amazing platform now that is able to amplify those stories and that visibility to ensure that it just goes forward stronger. Look, we had some great times, Fee, with UL Bows and with UL and Irish rugby, and you only ever knew one direction, which was forward, and you're still going with all of your work as an ambassador, as an analyst, as media commentary, role model, rugby encyclopedia for all of the WhatsApp groups that we're on. But what I love so much about it all is that you know your game, and that's always has been one of your strongest points, and that's what you lead forward with, which is really, really important. Your mammy to gorgeous little Harry was obviously such a kind little boy in the outlook that you have in life. But look, we love you, Fee, and so proud of you, and hope you enjoyed the night.
Hey Fee, congratulations on your award. I'm not sure that there's anyone more deserving to receive entry into a Hall of Fame. An unbelievable leader, incredible teammate, and a true friend. You set the bar for us to high performance before any of us really knew what it was. You demanded and expected high standards and really drove us to be the best that we could be. I hope you have a wonderful day. Sorry I can't be there. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Fiona, on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. No one more deserving than yourself. What can I say about Fiona? In all the years that I played rugby alongside her, she was an amazing captain. One thing about her was she was very honest. Even when there were difficult conversations to be had, she was happy to give you the truth and help you grow and develop. One of the things that stuck with me over the years is how if you came to Fiona with problems, she was always wanting the solutions, and it's something that I still do to this day. And I have to say, I still go to Fiona for advice now. I hope you have a great night.
Fiona, I'm very, very, very sorry that I'm not here in person to absolutely mortify you. And I'm smiling right now because you know I have all the power and I have all the stories and you don't know what I'm going to share. Just want to say a massive congratulations. I couldn't think of any other person who deserves, to be inducted into her Sport Hall of Fame. To a true professional, a great friend, extremely loyal person, who has such wonderful traits, including honesty, probably too honest at times. But you have this skill of, preparing to the max, working as hard as possible and bringing others with you to ensure that you achieve whatever goal you and the team have in mind. Well done, Fee. I'm just sorry I can't be there to chink and share the occasion with you. Enjoy and have a wonderful night.
Fiona Coughlin. Wow, congratulations, Fiona.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
I was nearly tearing up myself listening to it, but well deserved. You've made a huge contribution to women's sport and in particular to Irish rugby. Talk to me about where it all began for you. Were you always a sport nut?
Yeah, like I suppose growing up, tennis probably originally, watching Steffi Graf at Wimbledon every year. Wasn't very many females on TV. Then I got into horse riding and I lived in Clontarf, but every Christmas I was like, where's the horse looking out the window? And it's an ongoing joke actually in the family. One year I was convinced I was getting a horse and I got a typewriter. So my dad still has the typewriter. And he's like, I'm going to give it to you one Christmas. But then wasn't until I went to secondary school that I got involved in team sports, basketball originally, then into the Gaelic football, and I went to college in Limerick, and you sign up for everything on Freshers Week, and rugby was one of those things I signed up for, and went down to my first training session, and I was sent in with the forwards, and it was so technical. I was standing there, I was like, I just want to run around with the ball, so I didn't actually go back, and I got an email about 2 weeks later saying, we're stuck for numbers, will you come and play? And I was like, sure, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I'll go down and play. And it was 35s against UL, played DCU every year in 35s competition, and I ended up going on DCU's team because UL actually had enough people. So, but it was the best thing that happened for me because I just got to play, and once I played that game, there was no looking back. That was the sport for me.
Yeah, 2001 was when you started out with UL Bows. What was it about the sport that hooked you at that time?
I just think it was another challenge. It was the freedom to run until someone stopped you, or you stopping someone. It was just, and I really don't know. It was just that there was a place for everyone on the pitch. Just like you're putting your body on the line for each other, and I just felt really at home on the pitch playing rugby. And then obviously you're quickly developing friendships with your teammates, and I think that's what keeps you ultimately is your teammates and what you're striving for together.
It wasn't a done thing for women to play rugby at the time. When you think back to the first game that was played, the first 15s rugby game that women played was in 1993, 118 years after the first men's game. It was on Valentine's Day, which was pretty special. But to have come from that point to where I suppose women's sport is now and where rugby is now has been a really long journey. But there were a lot of barriers that needed to be broken down when you started playing out. Talk to me about the challenges that you faced.
Look, I suppose when you're in it, you don't really know that they're barriers. You're just trying to be the best you can be, and whatever's in your way, you're going to knock it down. And I think that would go to any athlete, like whether that's men or women. If they want to try and achieve something, they'll knock whatever's in their way down. I was very, very lucky with UL Bohemians because they had a vision about women's rugby. They wanted to be the best team in the country, and they put everything in place. So from a club's perspective, I didn't actually have any barriers. Ian Costello was my first club coach. He's now involved with Munster Rugby. He was over in Wasps, and so I didn't actually have a huge amount of barriers. But then when I stepped up to Ireland, I realised there's barriers here. We were fundraising for everything. We were trying to get sponsors involved. You know, even in terms of year after year, we didn't know who the coach was going to be. You don't know if you're going to be involved in a squad or not. Then, obviously, as things progressed, we got more wins. We were becoming more successful. And, you know, I know the IRFU have been kicked to touch a lot in the last number of years, and probably rightly so. But for our squad and the success we had, it wasn't because the IRFU were putting stuff in then and then took it out when we finished. It was the squad we had, the players, the management. We had a vision about wanting to be the best we could be and putting everything on the line to get where we wanted to be. And look, I suppose I didn't really realise, was there people at our games? No, but the people that were important were there, like your family were there, your friends were there. And I was running around doing something I loved with people that I, like those girls on the VTs, like they're lifelong friends, and you're getting to do something you love with lifelong friends. You don't even realise that their barriers are kicking.
Ireland won their first Six Nations game in 2005, and from that point to winning the Grand Slam in 2013, when did you feel like things were changing and that this team was special, that you could achieve what you did go on to achieve?
Probably the Euros. That was 2008. We drew it. We came third in the competition. We drew with France to come third. We were really competitive against England that year. Our results in the Six Nations were changing. We were now sitting in third place consistently. Then there obviously was galvanising trip in 2012, was well documented. Planes, trains, automobiles, everything. We arrived into our hotel, like, I don't even know what time it was, 7 o'clock in the morning. The game was 1 o'clock. And there was no moaning about from anyone. We just got on with it. This was the hand we were dealt, and we had to get on with it. We had to play a game. And, you know, the annoying thing was actually the media coverage afterwards was about the transport, as opposed to the fact that we played really well. We lost by a point. We had a try chalked off that shouldn't have been. And it kind of between 2008, when you see that progression, 2012, when something like that happens to you, is like, and the girls saying, well, why are they not talking about it? So I said, well, we have to go and bloody win something. I certainly didn't think it was going to happen the next year.
Well, the next year came, and 2013, the historic Grand Slam winning year. You beat England, and that's probably when people stood up and started to take notice.
Yeah, like the first game was against Wales in Wales, and Ali Miller's toe denied them a try, and we were playing appalling in the first half, and we actually scored a brilliant team try in the second half, but there was no one there, no one knew about it. But when you beat England and it was 25-0, like you hold them to nil, they were so dominant, and like, you know, they were missing some of their sevens players, there's no denying that, but their pack and the way our pack fronted up to them that day was unbelievable, and I think everyone sat up and started taking notice then.
And going on from that, you won the Grand Slam, of course. I read that you were saying after the Italy game, it wasn't the best spectacle, and that's the one that was on TV. That's the one everyone tuned in for. Yeah. But you knew there was something special about that team. And going to the World Cup in 2014, could you ever imagine that you'd achieve what you did?
I think it was important for us not to be one-hit wonders that you win. Well, I suppose after winning 5 games, you're not one-hit wonders like you. But that we had to back it up again. And we had another good championship the next year. We played in Twickenham and we finished third again. But it was about doing something special on the world stage. And, you know, our pool was difficult. People talk about New Zealand in our pool, but USA were ranked above us and had beaten us at the previous World Cup as well. So, you know, we were only focused on, I know athletes said, oh, game by game, but we honestly were, maybe the management were focusing on the pool, but that USA game was so important because with the Women's World Cup, there's 3 pools, so you have to top your pool and then it's the next best runner up across them. So we had that USA game was vital for us to have any ambition of going anywhere. So that's all we were focused on at the time. And once we won that, you have a really short turnaround with a 4-day turnaround into the New Zealand game. But the language we were using, it was like, this is how we beat New Zealand, when we beat New Zealand. Everything was about beating New Zealand. And we knew we were fitter than them. We knew if we got to the 60-minute mark that we would be, in the last 20 minutes, that we'd come strong as well. So, yeah, like it was huge. I think it just knocked the whole competition, not just for Ireland, but the whole competition wide open. And this is the first time New Zealand ever been beaten at a World Cup, and it was an Irish team to do it.
That deserves a bull bus, I think. It was such an amazing achievement, and it's worth saying you were the first Irish team to beat New Zealand as well. Did you realise at the time the significance of what you had done?
Yeah, when my phone just was dead from all the messages coming through, and you know, you're hearing about the reception at home and how many people were watching the game, and like you do, but you're very focused on the next game. Again, it's a four-day turnaround into the next pool game against Kazakhstan, so you have to very much shift very quickly into game mode and how you're going to go about beating them. So, but look, we were well aware of the impact that it had made, and that it did make, like, for some people taking up the game going forward, like hearing back stories and things like that. So yeah, like it was huge. And you know, people ask me which was better, the New Zealand game or the Grand Slam. I suppose the Grand Slam, you're winning 5 games on the bounce, and I'm obviously disappointed with the end of the World Cup and the performance against England in the semi-final. That has a bitter kind of, that we didn't come home with a bronze medal after the French game. So the Grand Slam, probably the 5 games on the bounce, but I think in terms of globally and what it did for the game, not just for Ireland, I think that was a really important win for us as well.
The landscape of women's rugby has changed an awful lot from that day on Valentine's Day when it all started off. What do you hope to see now if we look forward? I suppose we're at the beginning of a new era with women's rugby here in Ireland and the start of the rebuild with Scott Beaman. What would be deemed a success for this Irish team now?
Look, they have to get back. They have to get back with the performances and the wins as well. You know, obviously the Celtic Cup is on at the moment, and you know, the Irish teams are performing well, but it's now stepping it up into international. It's his first year in charge, but he knows the level that the players need to be at. He's been with England the last number of years, and they need to get the public behind them again. And unfortunately, that comes from performances. It comes from characters within a squad, but it comes from performances as well and wins. So they're going to get back. They will get back there. Like the quality in Ireland, you know. Obviously, the girls away with the sevens have done phenomenally well to get the Olympics, and then this morning and hopefully tomorrow morning they'll be into a final as well. But we need that in the 15s game as well. We need for people to see it, young girls to see it. I'm a teacher, and I started, it was actually one of my ex-students is up there. I don't want to embarrass her now. I was in Lucan, but I asked her, are you still playing? And she said, oh yeah, I am. Like, so for me, that's success. That's success for someone playing. So we talked about grassroots earlier. I think that's hugely vital. So you talk about the national team, but the grassroots are so important to that national team, and that pathway that we have more young girls playing, with the opportunity to play, you know, and a lot of time, whether it's schools or clubs, that hasn't been there, and that we open it up for them. And I think if we have that pathway, then we'll have more numbers playing, that we can channel them into 7s and 15s. And I think the numbers game is the most important. I think if you get that, you'll get the performances, and then you'll get the wins.
Is there anything else? You've achieved so much. I don't know if there's anything left that you want to achieve personally in the world of sport.
Look, I think I have to give back, like, because so much has been given to me in terms of coaching. I don't know if I'm suited to coaching. I know people say you're a teacher, you should be suited to coaching, but you know, you look at the likes of Briggsy, Larry, they're gone into coaching. I don't know if it's coaching. Obviously, I'm delighted with my role in the media and being able to sit in, probably in my eyes, the second best seat after playing. You know, Joy Neville's obviously gone into refereeing. I don't know how she does it, and she would be the last person that I would have put in there. Apart from the fact that she doesn't know any of the laws. She didn't know any of the laws of the game. Her sense of direction is absolutely appalling. I know she wanted to be here to roast me, but I'll just roast her. So, like, so many of my teammates are still so engaged in the game. I think fundamentally probably back coaching. I am coaching my schoolgirls team, which is great, but probably back coaching. But like, it's tough, you know, I have a job, I'm doing the media, I have a 2-year-old, so it is tough. And I think for me to get into coaching, it's the commitment that coaches have to make, or any volunteer makes, that you're there, you're gone 2-3 nights a week and a weekend as well. So ultimately I probably will, when he gets a little bit older, get into coaching.
Well, thank you so much for all that you've done for Irish rugby and for women's sport, and congratulations on your well-deserved award. Thanks, Fiona.
Congratulations to Fiona and all of the winners tonight. I look forward to another exciting year ahead in the world of sport. As mentioned, we are committed to creating real change for women in sport. I grew up believing that I'd have the same opportunities as my brother in sport, in business and in life. I had a privileged experience, and it was not until adulthood that I experienced disparity and truly noticed the imbalance in opportunity for women and men. Among the crowd tonight and those watching at home, there'll be a range of experiences in sport, both good and bad. While we've made progress over the last number of decades, we still have a long, long way to go. Thank you so much for everybody that has come tonight. I know it's been an incredible night of celebrating the world of women's sport and the fantastic Irish athletes that we have. It's a huge privilege to be here, and we couldn't do this without the support of our sponsors. So again, a huge thank you to them. Congratulations to all the winners, and enjoy the rest of the night.